facts data from? Who did you do the interview with?
The classroom teacher.
Okay.
And then myself, I also worked with the students.
So did you do them together, or did you do two separate facts in those interviews?
We did them together.
I know that this isn't as efficient, but I would actually do them separately,
Okay.
and I would look at doing some facts with other people who work with her. If you're still at the place of not being confident, then we need to talk about doing some data collection. And one of the places that I would start is probably with an ABC analysis. That's the most gentle, easy in, and usually pretty quickly observable predictors, maintainers. Yes?
On part B in step 3 in the box where you're providing more detail, when it says what is the intensity/level of danger of the problem behavior,
Yes.
does that mean to other people, to the student, and do you mean danger physically, mentally, or all of the above? Like, is it okay to say it's a major distraction to others that causes incomplete work and failing grades?
No, that's not really what they're looking for. They're looking for if you have an aggressive behavior, for example, the student hits others.
Okay. So if
I want to know.
any of that, it's an NA?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about is off task, intensity is irrelevant. We're talking about behaviors that are pretty serious. And I also want to go back to saying if we're talking about off task as why we're doing the facts, then I would say, do we really need to do the facts for off task behavior? You might. Remember, it's a very intensive process, so doing it for lower level behaviors is a lot of resources for, it's the proverbial shooting the fly with a shotgun. But when we're talking about behaviors that are intense, things like hitting, I want to know closed fist, open fist, no signs, red cheek, skin broken, blood. We're talking, and it could be the same with self-injurious behavior. The student, hits themselves. Is it this? Is it this? Is it smacking into the wall? Is there blood? Is there... All of those things get into that level of intensity, severity, danger, etc. Okay. Other questions? Yes?
I don't have a question, but I think it was a nice exercise to get another point of view. These ladies were very helpful, suggesting things we might not have thought about.
So the comment, I don't know if you heard that, was it's nice to get another point of view. So when they were collaborating and had another team there, it was nice to get somebody else's view on it. It's one of the reasons why if you can have an outsider in the process, it's always valuable to have outsider eyes. That's why when I'm the classroom teacher and I've got a problem behavior, I may not be able to solve the problem even though I have the skills, the knowledge, the desire to do that. I may need you to step in with me and say, Dale, here's what I see. So we need to be, we need to find ways to relate well to the teachers we're consulting with, and as teachers we need to be open to getting that feedback and learning how to do this in a way that we can give and receive collegial consultation. Other thoughts, comments, questions? If I can use your example for just a moment, we have a kiddo with elective mutism or selective mutism, students typically who choose not to speak at school. This is not a child who has communication disorders in the sense that they can't produce or have problems otherwise. It is called selective or elective because they choose not to communicate at school for whatever reason. This is a great example of where there is a body of literature, and I'll tell on myself a little bit here. My first year in school, in doc program, I did a practicum with a student in a program for kids with behavior disorders. This kid was pretty mild comparatively, but she did not speak at school. So I thought that this was a very cool case that I could work on. And so I started working with it. And I said, wouldn't it be fun to write this up? And I mentioned this to my advisor, who said, that's nice, but you have to know that there's a whole body of literature out there, and the likelihood of getting it published is pretty low because it's already out there. When you talk about behaviors, if you have a type of behavior, something like selective mutism, or you have something like pica, eating inedibles, or if you've got a described behavior, look in the literature and see what they say. And my favorite is to look for meta, M-E-T-A, meta-analyses, which brings together a lot of studies and puts it into a process of looking at effect sizes to see what worked, what was most effective, what was least effective along a continuum, or a synthesis of research. This is where they combine it in more of a narrative form. Look in the research literature to see what worked and what didn't. In this case, elective mutism actually has some very positive outcomes from strong behavior support programs, a very behaviorist approach. This can come up in a number of areas, but look for those kind of things. No need to recreate the wheel if the wheel's already out there. Other comments, thoughts, or questions? Okay. It is lunchtime. Lunch is buffet style just outside the door. I think we'll be back. Yes?
You have an assignment for lunch. It's at the very back of your packet. So while you're eating, the last 2 pages of your packet, we've given you a checklist to go through for your team at the 3 different levels of the triangle. And you take some time to go through that. And then you have an action planning worksheet. So you have, this is your lunchtime assignment.
Okay.